Grant Wilkinson now joins us via our Zoom link. He is indeed the director at Kirchmanns Incorporated, and he is a labor attorney. Grant, thank you so much for joining us here on The Late Edition. We have seen there through a package done by my colleague that these amendments really pertain to personal information, and as well as the fact that, a number of these cases are now being done virtually. If you can just let us know, how will these amendments now work for South Africans?
Good evening to you and also your viewers, and thanks so much for having me. Yeah, it was quite a comprehensive package that was presented, fully in line with that. To start off with, the Labour Relations Act requires the CCMA to review its rules at the very least every second year. And it obviously has done so. And if you look at the environment one finds itself in, especially post-COVID, COVID sort of drove us into that electronic space that was referred to by the speakers on your video link. And inevitably, a lot of the references to forms have made it a lot simpler so that your man on the street can properly refer matters. Some of the rule changes that have taken place allow form to be, in essence, corrected, if you will. Let's say you didn't sign the document properly. A commissioner can establish during the course of proceedings whether or not you intend to refer the matter again. And even if you didn't properly sign or you didn't sign the document, not to have the matter kicked out on a technicality. It's really about creating ease of access, social justice promotion, and a simplification and alignment with the forms, and aligning with legislation such as the Protection of Personal Information Act.
And if maybe you can elaborate for us, what problems were being experienced by the CCMA? I know that you've tabled just a few of them by the CCMA that actually warranted to actually have this in legislation and to have this matter now being looked into directly so that, it does indeed protect those who bring their matters to the CCMA, especially those who will be bringing it virtually.
Well, look, I can't comment on behalf of the CCMA. The director gave some inputs when you interviewed him, but no doubt the processes have to move with the times. You'd see some of the changes include the removal of the reference to a facsimile. A lot of those people out there, not in the legal space, would wonder, but look, do facsimiles actually exist? You could still serve via fax in terms of the new rules, but also the filing at the CCMA, you can no longer file via facsimile. That's one of the changes. Some other problems are people don't pitch up for the cases. So quite a significant change I found was the fact that rather than dismissing the matter, and I know there are a number of commissioners that have discussed the issue around rescission applications being brought after the fact. If a referring party, doesn't arrive at their case, it's the commissioner's responsibility now in terms of the new rules to establish, number one, is there a good reason why the individual is not present? If there is a good reason based on their contact attempts to the person, then inevitably the matter is to be rescheduled. If there is no good reason why the person is not there, the commissioner then, in essence, removes the matter from the roll, but there is a process that's introduced now for re-enrollment of the matter. But there are a number of significant changes that have taken place. And interesting enough, for colleagues over the December-January period, please bear in mind, note the reference to the period 16 December to 7 January being removed from the roll, which no doubt not being removed from the rules, apologies, which no doubt poses a possible challenge to colleagues across both sides of the table about their holiday plans over the December period, potentially. It'll be interesting to see how that is applied.
And Grant, you've also said that the reasons why we find ourselves here is that actually, essentially, problems around the pandemic and COVID-19 actually fast-tracked a number of, some of things that it would have taken us a very long time to get here. Would you say that this is a step in the right direction to sort of digitize, the processes of the CCMA?
I think the CCMA has been very proactive, and one must understand the CCMA itself is recognized internationally as sort of the gold standard of how alternative dispute resolution should be done. sure, it has its challenges, it has personalities and stuff like that, as in any situation, right? But in terms of the framework, the structure, the way to do it, it really sets a benchmark. So particularly in COVID-19, it reacted quite quickly to get onto the online platform so people don't lose that access to justice. Because could you imagine a situation where for the duration of the pandemic, which none of us knew how long it would be, people, man on the street, been dismissed and doesn't have access to justice and gets told, well, come back after the pandemic, it'll be too late then. So the CCMA reacted quite quickly to that, put good processes and practical processes in place, and no doubt these amended rules and the necessary form amendments as well really are put in place to build on that, and it's a good direction that is taking. Some interesting changes to the rules, which we'll have to see the application thereof. No doubt there will be challenges in implementation at some stage. Like any new system, there's little pressure points everywhere. But it's good that the director is doing a rollout nationally as well, so it makes it understandable to every single person out there.
And lastly, Grant, if you could just wrap it up for us, in terms of how South Africans will benefit, how beneficial are these new amendments to make the processes of many South Africans easier?
Well, I think it's very understandable, the forms. One has to understand the origin of the CCMA, or the idea behind the CCMA was to have a situation where employees and employers can get ease of access. They have an internal workplace dispute. Instead of going through to court systems, which no doubt have their challenges, technicalities, etc., it was designed to have an easy process where people can get around a table, try and resolve the disputes. These forms and the process introduced assist in getting into that same type of space, I suppose you want to call it. It's in that same spirit and the continuation thereof. Allowing ease of access, dealing with postponements. Some interesting challenges that will be raised with regards to the postponement ruling, which I know we won't have time to unpack all the amendments, but overall, as a whole, simple, easy access, good forms, very well explained. So it should be an interesting way forward.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Grant. Of course, that is Grant Wilkinson there speaking to us about the amendments which have now been done at the CCMA. And he is the director at Kirchmanns Incorporated and is a labor attorney.